Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. I'm looking at paper 2 of the AQA English language papers, and it's the 2021 paper. So I know lots of you have been asking for this because you've got your language paper 2 coming up really soon, so hopefully this will be a useful reminder. Okay, so we're looking at question 3 today, looking at the language question. Okay, so in case any of you haven't yet managed to have a look at this paper, I've managed to squeeze all of the extract onto the page, so you can pause and have a read through of source A, and then the same for source B. Okay, these are the sweet extracts. Although, doesn't particularly make me want to eat sweets, reading about the poisonous toxins. Don't know about you guys. Right, okay, so we know for the language question that in paper 2, I mean, it says source A here, but remember that in this exam, it could be A or B, we don't know. We also know that there will be no kind of printed extract. So it will give you some lines to look at. So we're looking at lines 20 to 28 from source A. And we're looking about how is language used to describe eating fantail sweets. Right, so 20 to 28, that's this paragraph down here. Let's have a closer look at it. So first thing that it draws my attention is that they're like an isosceles triangle. So that's a simile. Now, lots of students pick this out, but what can you say about it? To me, the fact that it's like an isosceles triangle, it makes it feel quite like precise looking. And triangles make me think that as a sweet, maybe it was quite jagged. Okay, so what else? I'm drawn to the adjective glutinous. I mean, even the sound of it sounds kind of, you know, I don't know, something from Willy Wonka's. But this is telling me about its texture. And we've got that hyperbole of it could induce lockjaw in a donkey. So we've got some exaggeration there, which proper word for that, hyperbole. People had to have their mouths chipped open with a cold chisel. So we've got more of this hyperbole to sort of exaggerate the sense to which these sweets were really so sticky that they were kind of almost impossible to eat. And then the eating of them, there's the noun phrase, hard work, and involved a lot of strangled crying in the dark. Okay, the strangled crying is a really interesting kind of little phrase there, verb phrase actually, but you could just sort of say it fits in again with this hyperbole. Again, weird kind of sort of extract in that it doesn't have necessarily the obvious sorts of language devices that we might like to pick up on of adjectives and verbs, but there is still enough stuff that we can talk about. So, straight on to my response to this question. Just like with paper 1, I start with the writer uses and then whatever the device is. So I'm going to just take it through chronologically. So I'm looking at that simile. So we remember we always need to have methods. We need techniques, like an isosceles triangle to describe the shape of the fantails. So when you've got your technique, think about what is it being used to do and make sure you're explicit there. This makes us picture something quite sharp and jagged and maybe suggesting it was quite precisely manufactured. So this is quite clear effects of language. I've got the nice, so that's, grade 6 kind of comment to make. But it's not yet perceptive, it's just kind of, when I think of a triangle, what do I sort of think of, and I'm quite clear about that, but it's not yet perceptive. I'll show you at the point where I kind of go on to that. The writer uses hyperbole, so this is my next method. Yeah. People had to chipped open with a chisel. So again, use some ellipsis to save yourself time rather than write out full quotes, as well as adjectives such as glutinous. So adjectives, I've got another method here, and examples, to convey the incredibly sticky consistency of the toffees and help them to build an image of them being potentially very difficult to eat. So what I've done here is I've kind of joined a few examples together. I've got that hyperbole and this adjective. I'm looking at them together. And so this is the example I'd quite like is when you find clusters, you can find more than one example to back up what you're trying to say. The phrase removed instantly to describe the loss of fillings adds to this idea that the sweets were a dentist's nightmare. So we've got some effects here. Clearly, they could have quite a damaging impact on children's teeth. The writer humorously uses the noun phrase, another method, hard work, and verb phrase, strangled crying in the dark, to reinforce the sense that the sweets were a real challenge, but that the children continued to persevere despite the potential to lose teeth. So I'm heading here into a much more perceptive comment. I've got a couple of different examples together, you know, the noun phrase and then the verb phrase methods, and I've got two different examples, and I'm thinking about how they build on or develop that previous idea, saying here about the fillings, sense that these were a real challenge. The fact I add on this bit, the children continued to persevere despite that. It's becoming perceptive. I'm really reading for meaning and understanding. And so I've kind of done that once, which moves me up into the next band, the top band rather, and then I show evidence of perception again when I zoom in on strangled and say strangled actually evokes images of torture and death. So I've kind of zoomed in here, helping to create quite a darkly comic exaggeration of just how chewy the sweets were. So I'm sort of evaluating in quite a perceptive way what the effect is of that. You know, thinking particularly around this idea of it being dark and sort of darkly comic. Okay, so that would be a 12-mark response to this question. Hope it was useful. Thanks for watching.